Hey, welcome back to Mr. Fix-It channel. In today's episode, I'm going to get this old Honda CB750 tuned up and ready for the road again. Stay tuned. Alright, let's see how this setup works. Alright, so it's the next day and I'm going to start working on getting these carburetors jetted. I noticed it's running pretty rich in the slow circuit. Or I guess you could call it the primary circuit. Not the main jet, not the slide jet needle, but just off idle in between. I noticed it was drawing fuel around the needle guide, the little brass piece that the slide needle slides into. It's not supposed to be pulling fuel from there. For some reason it is. So I'm going to pull these carburetors back off and I'm going to go inside and see. I know there was some discrepancies on which carburetors these were and what parts to get for it. And finding factory parts for an old bike like this is damn near impossible. So you got to deal with what you can find off of eBay and hope for the best. But I think I can get it figured out. So let me get these carburetors all drained and get them off of the bike again and stick them up on the bench, take them back apart, see what we can find wrong with it. I got all 4 carburetor drain tubes stuck in this gas can and I'm just going to loosen these drains and let the gas drain out. Alright, I don't see anything that's immediately jumping out at me as being wrong or damaged. This is that it's leaking past this. This is where the needle goes through, and it's leaking through the outside of this. I'm not sure what's going on here, so I'm just going to go ahead and replace them all with new ones and make sure I tighten these down good and tight and see if I can't stop that leak. Got the carbs clamped in the vise. I've got fuel connected to it. I'm going to fill the bowls up and I'm going to check the float level. That fluid level is just below the gasket mating surface there. I don't know if you can see that or not. So that's pretty much right where it needs to be. Yeah, that one's pretty good. Yeah, that one's in the same place. That's good. We're about 2 millimeters below the gasket surface, which is right where we want it. Alright, I'm going to do some highly questionable science here. I've got my shop vac and I'm going to stick it on the back of the carburetor and I'm going to draw some air through and test to see if that's still leaking before I stick it on the bike. Alright, I'm going to get these carburetors synced up and I need a way to get fuel in the bike without the tank being on it because you got to get access to those adjuster screws. And I've had this bottle set up for I don't know how many years, long time, and the cap is leaking on me now and I can't replace the cap because all the new Gatorades have a different cap. So I'm going to have to make a new bottle here real quick. So here's the new bottle set up. Got it hanging from the rafters here and comes down. Here's the on off. They're pretty handy. They're easy to make. There's like a barb fitting here and it's threaded for a nut on the back side and just a couple barb fittings on a ball valve. You can add a filter to this, which I recommend. Alright, this is the synchronizer gauge setup I have. There's several of these. I know you can look around. There's liquid type and digital type. I got these type. I like these type, and before I do any syncing, what I like to do is I like to hook all these lines together and go to my Mighty Vac. Don't pay no attention to my poor beat up old Mighty Vac. The numbers here don't matter as long as all these are the same. I'm going to use my Mighty Vac. I'm going to pump up. Now I'm going to make sure all these gauges are reading the same. Okay, so the gauges are off a little bit. Now they come with this little screwdriver, and with this little screwdriver you can open up these lenses and then this little screw right here, this will adjust it. This takes a little bit of time, and I do this every time before I sync carburetors, because the temperature and the barometric pressure, all that can mess with these. I just make sure they're all right, and that way when you sync the carbs on your bike, they're going to be right. Alright, here's my setup for the synchronizer. I like to hang these from a bungee from the ceiling. I've found out that if you hang this type of gauge from the bike anywhere, the vibrations throw the readings off. And I got, of course, cylinders 1 through 4 from left to right here. And on this Honda, there's screws, plugs that go right in here. And this kit comes with these brass tubes that screw into those. So that's how that gets set up. Now what I'm going to be doing is there's that screw. Let me get something to point with. There's 3 of these adjusters right there. Now I've got the nuts loose, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn these, but we're going to start with the one in the middle first. You can see it down in there. Right there. So I'm going to start with that, and then there's one more on this side. Right, you can see my screwdriver tip right down in there. So there's 3 of these adjusters. There's one over here, there's one over here, and there's one down in there. And the center adjuster, what it does is it adjusts the left 2 carburetors and the right 2 carburetors together. Your idle stop screw on the bottom of the carburetor bank, it adjusts carburetor number 2 here. So you get carburetor number 2 set, and then you adjust the center adjuster to get 2 and 3 tuned together. Once you get 2 and 3 tuned together, now you can tune 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. Okay, so I got the bike warmed up. We'll go ahead and start it. And because we bench synced it, it should be pretty close. If we look at our gauges, you see it's pretty close. The idle's pretty good, but I think we can make it idle a little better. So I'm going to adjust these screws and see if we can't get this a little closer. Alright, looking at 2 and 3 here, they're a little bit off, so I'm going to stick my screwdriver down in here in the center one. Now I'm going to turn the center adjuster screw clockwise. Okay, that's making it worse, so I'm going to go counterclockwise. I'm going to turn the idle speed up just a little. You're running about 1600. Okay, we're off a little bit. I'm going to adjust it some more. Alright, those look pretty good tuned together. Now I'm going to tune 1 and 2 together. See, they're a little off. Okay, those look good. Now I'm going to tune 3 and 4 together. Now if I push down on this screwdriver, watch what happens. See how it changed it? So you gotta be careful and not put pressure on the screwdriver when you're turning this. Number one can be tuned a little better. All right, they're all hovering just above 8 there. Idle's pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to check it again after revving it. Yeah, I could use a little more tweaking. There we go. That looks good. All right, let's try a restart. Yep, looks good. All right, now I'm going to tighten up these nuts to the adjusters, but I got to keep it running. I got to watch the gauges as I tighten so they don't move. Yeah, it moved just a little. This is probably the most difficult part about sinking the carbs, is tightening that nut down and not losing your sink. Yeah, you got to watch that, because pushing on them will change it, and when you tighten that nut down, that'll change it. So make sure you do all this with it still running and check it. Alright, this thing's warmed up now. I'm going to get the seat put back on and go for a test ride. Okay, I got a little bit of tuning left to do. As you can see, it was kind of losing power there in the mid-range, and couldn't really test the wide open circuit because the clutch was slipping. Do some adjustments on this, see if I can't get that straightened out. Hopefully it don't need a clutch. So let's get these carbs back off here and do some more tuning. Alright, before I pull these carburetors off, I want to look at the spark plugs, see what we got going on there. I did have some run time on these prior to this ride, so it might be getting mixed readings here. Alright, because I was having so much issues with the carburetors running real rich in the mid-range, before I took it for a ride, I swapped out the needle, the metering needle, for this fatter one. It's fatter and a little bit longer. Before I go take the carburetors off and mess with the jets, this is easy enough to get to without taking the carburetors off. So I'm going to put this needle in. Alright, I'm going to go for another test ride. I coasted in because I wanted to do a throttle chop and check the plugs. Alright, let's see how this setup works. Go for a ride, see how she runs. Alright, well I think this thing's all dialed in now. So as far as settings go, I have in the slide needle, it's a N1 VM slide needle. There is the stock pilot jet. The pilot screw is turned out 4 turns, which is at the limit, I know, but it is February. And you can probably hear the wind blowing my canopy in the background. So come summertime, you should be able to turn that in about half turn, be just about right. The primary jet is a 60 and the main jet is a 135. So seems to be happy right there. Well, I think that's pretty much it for these carburetors. Yeah, that was a bit of a job. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a clutch in this old CB750. We're going to replace the steels and the frictions. See if we can't get some wide open throttle out of this old bike. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.